Grammy award-winning producer, the Dallas Austin himself, the legend. Welcome to the BGS house, Dallas.
Welcome, Dallas.
Hey, Dallas.
Man, thank y'all for having me, man. Can't wait to come here and sit there with y'all. I'm a big fan, so
man,
thank y'all for having me.
We're so excited to have you, and you have hits on hits on hits, decades worth of hits. But I gotta ask you, you know, with you being a pioneer in the R&B industry, and R&B is evolving, where do you see, what are some of your predictions of where R&B is going now, whether it's good or bad?
It's going a lot better than I think over the last even 5 to 10 years. Like, because it got caught up in being in hip hop and rap, it became so popular, you know, as a trend period that I think that, like everything else, it ate up R&B for a minute. And the A&R people and everybody else just wasn't, you know, it wasn't trying to hear anything that had chord progressions or anything that was really, you know, had a lot of singing to it. And even when like the Summer Walkers came out, you started to be like, okay, you know, they're starting to open up more to not just limited to R&B in a way, you know. Now I think we're at a really progressive place. I love it right now because it's that place where, you know, you see it, you know, you see people, whether it's even like what Bruno Mars and them were doing, to all the way up to what Usher's been doing, what Jermaine has been doing with Division, you know what I'm saying? It's like now everybody's feeling the R&B is I don't think it ever died. It would be unfair for some of the people who during that time was still making what we call R&B, because people would still like a Chris Brown record here or that person that, you know. It's just that it wasn't getting the heart and the soul of the R&B kind of left because everybody wanted to kind of auto-tune it and dumb it down, you know, to fit into what was going on in hip hop. So I think right now we're in a really good place. And I think where we're headed, because we've been there so long in that other place, where we're headed now is going to push the envelope for way more R&B to be more open. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm just curious, Dallas, I mean, what's your take on artists like Drake or Bryson Tiller who've integrated hip hop and that R&B mix too? Because it's not just the soulful ballads, you know, they add a little bit of that gangsta in there too. I mean, what's your take on those kinds of people?
First off, big shout out to Drake for shouting me out on the new record with him and 21 Savage. I had to be like, all right, my stock went up for a minute. But, you know, we come from an era of Lauryn Hill, right? So we had some hip hop, and she was kind of the first one that we kind of respected, I would say, hardcore being coming from both, because at one point, us as a culture wasn't really allowing it. It wasn't nobody doing it that great. And I remember when Drake first came out, I was like, man, he's the babyface of rap, because, you know, he's talking to women. He's instead of diminishing them off the bat, he's going, baby, you my everything, you all I ever wanted. And it was at a time where everybody was just like diminishing women so bad that, you know, he came in smooth with it. And then to be able to rap too, you're like, okay, this kid is, and then he's light skinned and he's from Canada, he ain't from the hood, he ain't coming from the grass, he ain't from the hard background. So I think that, you know, and that's one of the reasons I say right now why he's really that much more untouchable, is because when it gets to him singing and having melodies and having songs that he's done in that realm, it kind of takes him out of the realm of everybody else unfairly. So Drake can kind of go into everybody's mode, and he can take a little bit of everybody's thing and probably do it better than them.
Oh, yeah.
If it was back to what we heard with Jodeci, you know, we still ain't there yet.
We recently had a discussion about women being pitted against one another, particularly Black women in hip hop. And you were one of the creators behind the culture classic, The Boy Is Mine, with Brandy and Monica. And there was a lot of drama behind that. Do you think Black women are often pitted against each other in the music industry? And if so, why?
It used to be that it was a union more so, because it was like everybody was on the same side of trying to make it against the man, you know what I'm saying? But now that social media has come to play, everybody's going to get pit against each other just by one message, just by one thing you said on socials, right? And then when you have a platform where everybody else is seeing you say something about somebody, that's hard for you not to say something back. You know, it's hard for you not to have a stance with that person. And I think that it's more even social media, because, you know, it wasn't a time, at one point you couldn't be a star just from having your own phone. You couldn't want to outdo somebody else. Just because you have your own phone and you looked at them and seen what they was doing, and I want to do that better, and I want to look better than them, and I want to do this better than them. You didn't have that ability before. So when you start to gain fans, you know, and likes and people and all that, your ego started to go up at the same time. You know, and I do think it causes a sense of division between women, because women got egos just like men and everybody else. They, you know, you want to be better than the next, and you don't want nobody to say one thing that you might take shite. It's almost like rap music, because you be like, man, did she say that about me? And then your friend might be like, man, she wasn't talking about you for real. Yes, she was. You reading undertones. So it started to go there. It's really a social thing that makes it where it's that way, But I really feel like, and because it's more women now that are accepted, it's way more women rappers. At one point, you didn't have none.
Right.
We had Lil Kim. We had Moni Love and them before that, but then you had Nicki come, and then for a long while, you still didn't have nobody else. Now, then that thing started to be like, okay, here's Megan, here's Gorilla, here's this person, here's that person, here's that. Little pockets of women. And that's when it really started. Now that everybody started getting some juice and getting some stuff,
agree.
then beef is popping. But before that, you really didn't have it.
I felt like it helped the artists because when we talk about The Boy Is Mine in particular, you're familiar with that, of course, with Brandy and Monica. I mean, there was real drama there. So I felt like it was kind of cool. You got to pick sides. Are you with Brandy or you Team Monica? What's up with that? I mean, do you feel like there's an upside to it?
Oh yeah, because the thing about that record was it was real in the sense of Monica's from the south side of Atlanta and Brandy's from LA in Hollywood. And so the two characters alone, I remember when we were making Monica's record, I said, okay, they got a Brandy, and Brandy's more like, I want to be down. Monica's like, you got to get down, right? So her attitude was the flip of hers in the first place. And we did that on purpose because that was Monica's real attitude. She was just so like, attitude. That's why the first album was Miss Thing, because she had so much like a little bit of anger, a little bit of like just, and we channeled all that attitude through the record. And she always knew that she was the opposite of Brandy. And I think that at one young point, Brandy made her feel like diminished at some capacity before we even did The Boy Was Mine. It's just like kind of like the difference in the LA thing and the Atlanta thing. You know what I'm saying? They talk different, you act different. We can be considered ghetto if you want to call it that, but and so I think it took off way back before The Boy Was Mine with just that whole like nudging that was going on. Right. So when we're doing the record, first off, Monica didn't want to do it at first, obviously. But everybody knew that it was Clive Davis's idea. He kept looking for us to have a record called The Boy Is Mine. He was like, we gotta have it like The Girl Is Mine. We need A Boy Is Mine. And so he hit me and he hit Rodney. You guys gotta figure it out because you got the two that could obviously do it. And sit up to talk. And we recorded Monica in Atlanta because she wasn't going out there recording. She was real Monica back. Like she hadn't grown up enough to have a sense of like nothing but loyalty at that point. And her loyalty was to Atlanta and to the South and to the attitude she had.
Okay, so Dallas, most producers all have that one artist who they feel like got away. Is there an artist that you let slip through the cracks? And if so, who?
Justin Bieber.
Wow. I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah.
I had Rowdy at Universal at the time, and he was staying in my house. And because when Scooter moved into Atlanta, he didn't have any other friends, so my son became his friend. He lived with us, and I would go to the studio with him every day, play drums, play keyboards, and I would go to Sylvia Rowan and be like, yo, this kid's a star. He's like living with me. This kid's incredible. You gotta let me sign him. It's like, Dallas, kids aren't in right now. I kept trying, and Scooter kept trying it every way possible. It was like, dude, sign the kid. But Sylvia wasn't with it.
Let's be honest here. You not only have conquered the Billboard charts, but you also took your talents to the big screen. You made a major impact here in Georgia from producing classics like ATL, Drumline. Just would you care to explain how Georgia even got in the mix?
It was crazy because I was trying to, when I was doing Drumline, nobody knew how major it would be. Because I think the only movie we can compare it to at the time is I Got the Hook Up. Like if somebody black making a movie that's young. So they didn't really take it that serious. And so when I finally got it made and we started making it in Atlanta and started like running around and it's, it'd been the first $18 million movie that's kind of shot here and Fox didn't know what to do with it. It took me 10 years to make that movie. Like every day for 10 years, I'll be like, how do I get this made? How do I get this made? Changing writers, changing stuff. And then, finally, Fox was like, man, we got to make, it was a high school movie at first. So it was like, man, we got to make this movie. Does it take place in college? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's even bigger in college. Because I tried to talk him out of it because I just wanted to get the movie back. And so we started to make it. It turned out great. It turned out to be, exactly what I wanted it to be, because to me, it belonged, not just to me, it belonged to the marching band. If I didn't get the story right for the band, then I didn't get the story right for me. I couldn't read music. I joined the band when I was little. My brother was the section leader before that. So I would just practice with them all the time as a kid at home. And that's how I knew how to play better than everybody. So I just kind of incorporated my story into the story of the marching band. And then after that success, I already had the movie ATL. It was called Jelly Beans at first because of the skating rink in Atlanta. And we had the movie, but Fox, but I had it at Warner Brothers, right? And Fox was like, okay, Drumline is a success. he's got that other skating rink movie, so we're gonna put out a skating rink movie. So they put out Roll Bounce, right? So Roll Bounce ended up making it where they were like, okay, we're not gonna make ATL because it doesn't make any sense. They already made this movie. And I'm like, dang, we're working on this 10 years. I said, hold on, but you know what the difference is? That's a period piece. I said, in Atlanta, we skating right now every Sunday.
Every day,
I said, what do you mean? I said, we skating every Sunday, and we skating the TI, we skating the trap music, we skating, that's where all the action goes down, and everything is happening right now. That's a period piece, that's old. And they were like, really? Okay, well, go shoot it in New Orleans. And I'm like, in New Orleans? They say, yeah, because it's gonna cost you too much to shoot that in Atlanta. You know, everybody's going to New Orleans to shoot. And I'm like, dude, but everybody I skate with, they're still skating. They're at the skating rink now. Why would I do that? So, ship them all to to New Orleans. So that made me start diving down the hole of like, okay, I got to pass a film bill to make me be able to shoot ATL in Atlanta. So I grabbed a friend of mine's bill from New Orleans. I brought it into Atlanta and to the state capitol, and they was just like, nope, we don't know what you're talking about. And it's a place called Atlanta and it's a place called Georgia. It's way different.
Exactly.
And when you go in the state capitol, you're going into Georgia and you're like 20-year-old kid, 23-year-old kid going, hey, I want you to pass this bill so I can shoot this movie. And they're like, just no. And finally, the governor started getting backlash from it. And then he came to me and was like, Dallas, what do I do? I said, we got to figure out a way to pass this bill because Georgia could be this place, it could be that place. You got islands, you got beaches. I didn't know what it was going to turn into. I was just trying to get ATL done, So I ended up going to speak at the G8 Summit on behalf of the state of Georgia, got the bill passed, cut the ribbon. We shot ATL, which was the first movie we shot in the Film Center. And from that point, it opened the doors for everybody.
We appreciate that. Because as a little ATL girl that learned how to skate at Golden Glide and Cascade, and then now to have big major productions and major studios move here, like Revolt itself is in Atlanta because of the work and the groundwork that you laid down. So we thank you for that. You are definitely a legend and have put in that work. Thank you so much for stopping by the BGS house. We like to keep it rowdy, so we all gonna head over to rowdycollection.com to cop some of them pieces.